I don't know of you doing this at all, but I don't think you've impersonated any federal agents anytime recently.
What do you mean?
Never heard that story?
No. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say welcome to Listen, I'm a Barber podcast. I'm Jay Hollywood. Oh, hold on one second.
It's not official if he doesn't
No,
do
not
that.
at all.
Yeah.
Nah, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my good friends, my boy Spanos. Yo, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's been a little bit in the works. I've been excited to get on as soon as I heard you were doing one, and then you were like, "Yeah, you want to come on?" I was like, "Of course."
Yeah.
They're shit in the woods, you know.
If they don't live in the woods, they're shitting
They're
somewhere.
definitely shitting in the woods. They gotta. You don't see shit on the streets, you know.
But if they're in the zoo,
Unless you're in the city or something, then maybe.
that's true. That's true. But we can improvise how the bear shits, though.
Did they wipe? You know, or did they just have like dingleberries the whole time?
I'm gonna go off on a limb and say they probably just
Do the
like
dog-
shake, rattle, and roll.
They could do the dog thing where they kind of crawl and
Oh,
under
what,
carpet.
like scoot around.
Yeah, yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, you sound good right now. How do I sound?
sexy, a
Sexy?
little raspy, a little rugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
like it.
unique New York.
I was thinking more like how now, brown cow.
How now, brown cat. Unique New York. Pretty party. Yeah, I think we got this.
I think it sounds all right.
Dude, you know what's
we're good.
funny? I was talking to Mark. He said I sound like a white DMX. I'm not feeling that.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say you sound like DMX. I mean, I don't know of you doing this at all, but I don't think you've impersonated any federal agents anytime recently. Or have you?
No. Me currently, no. But what do you mean personally?
You never heard that story?
No.
So, I mean, he's dead now, so this has got to be a handful of years ago.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, DMX.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah. Apparently, he was at an airport and he was trying to break into a car, and he got jammed up. I guess the security caught him, and he told them, "No, it's okay. I'm a federal agent."
No way.
And I guess he got away a little bit, but then he tried to impersonate an FBI agent, and he had drugs and firearms on him. So
No
had
way.
to do a little jail time. Yeah.
Unique New
That
York.
was very unique. Very New York, very unique.
I'll be honest. I kind of want to skip a little bit of bullshit here. Listen, so many people don't know this about you that I know, dude. You did professional wrestling.
I did. That's why I wore this shirt today.
I know. I appreciate it. Did you
Stone
do that for
Cold
me?
Steve. I did. I had to find it in the bottom of my dresser, but it's okay. I found it, and I was like, all right.
Rocking
Bust
out.
it out. Yeah, my girl used to make fun of me all the time for wearing it all the time. She was like, "You can't just fucking go everywhere in a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt." And I was like,
Wait, why?
"You can actually. Yeah, it's really not that bad." I was like, She's like,
Where did she
"Sometimes."
get off with that?
I think she wants me to dress up a little more, and I was like, "Listen, a button-up shirt is nice, but a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt's classic."
It's 316 all
Yeah,
day.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So can you break it down for me? I remember we went to the ECW arena. What was that? A
Yes.
couple months ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. The school that I trained at, they had a big show at the ECW arena in Philadelphia, South Philly.
It was Monster Factory, right?
Yes, Monster Factory was the school that I trained at, and it's still up and running, and they have a great track record of a lot of people that ended up going on further in professional wrestling, whether with WWE, now you have AEW. At the time, you had WCW and ECW. So, very, very interesting sport, profession, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. It's a very wild industry. That's what I'd say.
Dude, how the fuck did you get into that, man? We all like dream as little kids of running around and clotheslining people and fake DDTing into mattresses and trampolines, but like
It's like those memes that are going around now, and it's like, when you go to your best friend's house and they're like, all right, be good. And then like they like say like, oh, the girls are like, oh, Jay's so cute. I wonder if he's thinking about me. And it's like Sabu jumping off the table. And he's like, this is what Jay's doing right now. Yeah.
dude, he hit him with a chair. It's like, fuck, man. Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah. So I was like every other typical kid, I feel like our age in that range, loved wrestling for the longest time. And then, then you hit your teens and then like the high school period of time. And then I feel like you kind of get a little too cool for it. You kind of smarten up and you're like, it's not real. It's not, whatever. So you kind of fall out of love with it for a little bit. But then when I started getting into like weight training and shit like that, I started watching it again. And then I was like, oh shit, these guys are, I remember fucking loving this as a kid. And then I fell like back in love with it all over again. And this was kind of like early 2000s, I'd say, like late, like 05, '06, in that range. Like right as I graduated in high school in '07, so like sophomore, junior year in that range.
Yeah.
And then the girl my high school girlfriend at the time, I felt terrible. I used to make her watch it all the time, every Monday night. And then she just said to me one day, she was like, you watch it all the time and you seem to really like it. Why don't you just go do it? And I was like, you can't just fucking go do wrestling. And I was like, I don't know what you got to do. She's like, look it up, Google it. You got to go to a school like you would any other trade, or any other profession.
Got to learn the ropes. Literally, you got to learn the ropes.
Literally and figuratively, you got to learn the ropes. So I looked it up, and that's where the Monster Factory, that's where I found that. And wild that it was actually in New Jersey, because you would think, it's probably one in California or one in Texas or something like that. But
yeah,
New Jersey was one of the pinnacle schools of the time, and I think still to this day is one of the top schools in the country. So I got in contact with them and went down for like evaluation or a tryout, whatever you want to call it, and the rest was history.
So remember I called you a couple months ago, and I was like, yo, I'm at my buddy's garage, and he rents the garage out to those guys who practice wrestling.
Yes.
I've never stepped in a ring other than like a boxing ring. Mm-hmm. When I stepped into this ring in his garage, now mind you, it's makeshift, but it was real. Remember, I showed you, like, I feel the turnbuckles, I feel it all. When I was running, I felt like I was running on plywood, and it's like, no, it's still like a fucking hard, a hard surface you hit. Like I just did a little elbow drop, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that is what it is. It's a bunch of 2x4, or not 2x4s, however long the fucking dimensions are, I don't know. But they're just wooden planks. They run across a bunch of steel beams. Then you pull it tight with the canvas. There's like a little pad like this big. A lot of people think it's like just a trampoline, and then they just have ropes and stuff on it, but it's really not. It's wood.
No, it didn't feel like fucking trampoline. It felt like I was running on fucking...
The wood is where it gives some of the give, because it does bend on the beams, but then it gets pulled tight with the canvas and a little bit of padding in between, and then they pull that tight, and then there's the ropes, and the ropes are just fucking cables, like that would be around your hose or something like that, like that you would have out back, and they pull them things tight. They're cabled ropes. And then you could change how tight the ropes are and how much. So like when you see the guys do the fucking springboards and shit, they're pulled tight.
Okay.
But the first time you hit the ropes, the first couple times, your back just completely bruises. Like you get a whole line across your back, and your back's like, what the fuck is going on? But after you do it repetitively and consistently, you get like a callus, just like anything else. Like when you weightlift and stuff, like your hands get all calloused up. It's the same thing.
So I ran, a couple back and forths, and the first one I really tried to lean my weight in. I'm shorter, so it's like the ropes didn't benefit to my size. But when I kind of leaned into it, I got like the middle of my back like into it, right. And I was like, oh
yeah,
I didn't feel the launch that I see some of these guys doing, and I'm like, yo,
it takes time. You got to learn the cadence, the pace, the steps. Just like any other sport, like what they look for in the professional level is footwork, just how they would do in like a combine. You kind of have to be good with your feet. You can't just be a klutz and just kind of like stumble around in there. It's not going to look good aesthetically on camera, so you need to have good footwork. So that's where.
Do you remember when we went to that show though? Remember your buddy that you said you had the tag team title with? What was his name again?
Yes, he's still doing it right now. He's in Impact Wrestling right now, which is another independent organization, and he's doing really well. His name is Steve Macklin, and I think he's in line for a title shot soon, one of the upcoming pay-per-views. So
I love that he's getting a title shot. And when we were at that show, and I really appreciate you hooked us up with front row tickets. Like that was such an experience. But to have your boy come up to us and like, I remember I gave him my beer. Remember that? I was like, yeah, take this beer.
Yeah. It was a good time, man. It was cool too to show you that side of it, because I feel like so many people, especially our age grade, like now with the internet and the nostalgic aspect coming back into play, you always see like stuff from our era when we grew up in circulation. Like I was showing you today in the barbershop, like a Stone Cold NWO thing.
Yeah.
It's real popular right now. And then now you put the memes on top of it and you're like, oh, this is what's going on in the world today. And you're like, oh, cool.
And they're referencing it to the shit we grew up with.
Correlate it, right. But it was cool to show somebody that I'm cool with and close with, it doesn't come from that world, what goes into it.
I think the backstage presence really kind of took the experience over, because I'm like, okay, I've been at a show before, ECW, WWE, some old WWF back in the day. But to just go back in that show and you taking me, introducing me to everybody and people watching, and there's so much that goes. Like people just click the remote and they tune in, but then you're watching, you're like, oh, this happened this way, and like this happened that way, and it's like, oh, okay. But now I'm like seeing like the whole separate side. Like some of them came out of that like fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like they weren't like they walked away from the ring, crowd cheers, everything's good, and then your one buddy came in the back, and then he was just like clenching his ribs, and he's like, dude, like. I took a bad one, and he wasn't talking to me directly. I'm just listening to him.
Yeah, overheard what was going on. Yeah,
dude, he moved his arm, and I just saw a fucking. I'm like, oh, like the welt was intense, man.
Yeah, the outcomes are predetermined, so that's where the the term fake, quote unquote, comes into play. Which it is. It's scripted or whatever you want to call it. But the shit that happens in the ring and the accidents or the miscues, they're real. I probably had like 5 concussions. Like I got busted wide open before. Like what they call that, the hard way, where you get hit and you get busted open. You don't do it yourself.
I've seen the razor in the wrist. I've seen that where they just put it in between a tape and they do the whole, do the wipeout. And it's like, being a barber, it's like I know I could flick my razor and you may not see it for 2-3 minutes before it really starts opening up. So it's a cool way to play. It's a cool way to play it.
It's an art form. You have to make sure everything is covered. You can't just openly just take the razor blade out and cut yourself in the face and then just take a shot. Like, whoa. You got to you
got to work it in.
Sell it, work out, fall to the outside, really ham up whatever just happened, and then kind of give it to yourself real quick, and then all right.
So I want to do something fun with you real quick.
Let's do it.
All right. We've been playing fantasy football for too long now, right?
Too long.
Now I want to play fantasy wrestling for a second. If you could put a squad of 5 together.
Okay. And we
Ready?
can't repeat. So like if I take
I can't take you. You can't take anything I got. So round 1, who are you rolling with?
I get first overall pick.
You got first overall pick.
I gotta go with my guy. That's on my shirt. I'll take Steve. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, so we already kind of. I felt like I was going to kind of lose that one too, giving you first round. But you know what?
Classic.
I came prepared.
Okay.
I had Stone Cold on my list, so I'm going to have to defer a little bit. But my number 1 pick, I'm going with a wild card, Macho Man Randy Savage.
That's a classic.
Dude. That guy was hopped up on coke, trend, ready to rock.
How much coke do you think he would do before one of those promos?
Before a promo?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest.
He was just like sweating and veins popping, and he would be like, ugh.
See, I've done a line or two in my day, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that was just coke.
That was just
I
him.
think there was a mixture of
I think he was just turned up to.
Yeah, he could have
another
took a couple
dimension.
shots. Like, I don't know, but I don't think that much coke was involved. I just know it was.
Yeah.
Now,
It was the 80s too, so I'm sure there was some.
yeah, no, all right, let me round 2. Go ahead.
I'm going to take Macho Man's off the board, Stone Cold's off the board. I'm going to take my guy as a kid, Sting.
Wow.
Yep.
Pre-NWO Sting or NWO Sting or after that?
I mean,
It's a big pick.
My favorite Sting was the Surfer Sting with the crazy neon colors and shit, but the classic Sting is the black and white.
Yeah.
So I got to go. That's
Okay.
where he got the most.
Remember when he would hang in the fucking rafters,
yeah.
come down with a fucking bat, and it's just
I just actually saw, it's funny you said that. I just saw a meme. It was Sting up in the rafters, like one of the first times they showed him all the way up there, and it was like that one dude in the group chat that never answers anybody, but it reads every text, and then like zoom in the Sting just like sitting all the way up in the rafters. I was like, that is very accurate. That is definitely some people.
I like that. Round 2, I'm gonna go with Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Generational. He carried so
He
much.
realistically probably could be the number 1 pick.
For time-wise,
I just
probably.
preferred Stone Cold over him, but he is, yeah.
All right. Who's your third?
Household name. Third, I'll take Shawn Michaels,
Ooh.
the Heartbreak Kid.
Damn, that was actually also.
He was also on
my
yours?
list.
Ain't that a motherfucker? When you're drafting and somebody right before you picks the guy, you're like,
Yeah.
it's the worst feeling.
Ruins friendship,
Yeah,
but
it's
this
the
is
worst
cool. We're
feeling.
cool. We're good. We're good.
It's in love.
All right. I'm gonna go Sabu from ECW.
Ooh.
Sick fuck.
Yes, he was. He was a fucking intense dude.
Remember when Benoit broke his neck?
Yes.
Came back 6 months later and roped house.
Yes.
That was good. He was a sick son of a bitch, dude. I loved it.
Yeah, there's the funny thing about wrestling too is there's some legit. I know again it's the scripted thing. There's some legit badasses that you would not want to fuck with, and I think he probably would qualify as one of those guys.
I like that. So, all right, what do you got for round 4?
I will take an ECW guy, but I'll do that with my 5th pick.
Okay.
You took an ECW guy, but with my 4th pick, I'm going to take The Undertaker. Classic.
He was potentially on my list, but that's just a much respected answer.
Yeah, can't go wrong. And now he just retired recently, so he's been doing a lot of documentaries and stuff. Classic guy.
All right. I'm going to go my 4th pick, and it's more of a fan favorite. It's not much of a powerhouse, but a fan favorite. Rey Mysterio.
Can't go wrong with Ray.
Dude, very entertaining.
Still going to this day.
Is he really?
I guess he's got to be in his 40s, but maybe even 50s. But yeah, he's still going, and his son's doing it now too, which is weird because his son is like 6'2", 6'3".
And he's what, like
And
5'6"?
Ray's like 5'6", yeah.
Jesus.
So it's weird. I don't know where Ray got the shitty genes. I guess his wife must be a little taller. I don't know, but
Never met his wife.
his son, but his son is a tall kid. But with the 5th, my last pick, since I said I'll go with the ECW guy, I will go with the Human Suplex Machine, Taz.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He was interesting to
You
watch.
just watched that clip of him going through the ring with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was wild.
I'm going to finish this up. Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump.
yeah.
That era,
Yeah.
Big Papa Pump.
Fuck yeah. Dude was unbelievable. It was actually, believe it or not, a college, like a big time wrestler, I believe, at the University of Michigan. So like before he got like too jacked for the gym, like he was a fucking real shoot wrestler, like good, legit.
He looked good in his early career, actually being able to move around. Like, I think the era of Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump, it was more
Then
of
he
those.
then he morphed into a character with the
But he was just a character. I didn't think he had, like, any ring presence.
right.
He was just jacked out of his mind on trend and test and just, he was a freak. I mean, as we called it, he's like, we're my freaks.
Steiners, man. Freakzilla.
Yeah. I do want to ask you this, though. Kind of just like fucking around with this. You know, you don't do it anymore, right?
No, I haven't in a few years. I actually had a really bad injury that just kind of fucked me. I compound fractured my left arm, and I had to get reconstructive surgery on it. I have 23 screws and 2 titanium plates that go up there.
But wrestling's fake, though. You know,
It's definitely,
Definitely
fake,
fake.
But yeah, that shit wasn't fun. That sounded like a celery just snapping.
yeah, I've had that happen plenty of times.
You're the guy to ask who broken bones, but that was not fun.
So let me jump too, because you know the wrestling is great, but you know something we've talked about in the barbershop plenty of times. I kind of want to like morph these two together because we're a little older now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot more on the line, and not just a lot more on the line. It costs a lot more to then have the responsibility of also what is on the line. And I know we shoot the shit back and forth, but like, you know, in today's time, could you really feel like you could afford to be a wrestler? And I'm not saying that you don't make enough money, but, you know, I look at it as I don't buy a fucking motorcycle. Not because I don't want to learn to ride one, because I'm going to fucking fuck myself up on this thing, and I'm going to be missing out on just missing the money, dude. In today's world, it's like, you know, it sucks. There's shit that I don't even do anymore because of the way the world's going. You know, do you kind of have that same vibe? Like, I know you stay close to wrestling. Like, you know, when you took me to the show, everybody was still big with you, you know, all that. But
yeah, it's a different world now. When I did it, I was in my like earlier 20s, like, you know, still in college even. So I had the availability to put all my time and effort into it. And I feel like if you're going to succeed now and not really be making a lot of money, because you don't make a lot of money in the beginning when you're breaking in, you know, you're just happy to make however much the promoter wants to give you. You just want to get in front of the crowd and perform. So now it would be a whole different game for me. It would be a lot harder to just get into it. And then on top of everything, you know, you got like just the way the economy is now and inflation and all that good fun shit. It's like, it's tough to be at that level. But
dude, a couple years ago, and it's kind of funny. If you made 50 grand a couple years ago, people were like, yo,
not bad, yeah, right?
Yeah, you're doing all right.
That's not too shabby, yeah.
You might have had a $400 car payment, which could have been a Mercedes a couple years ago. Now it's like you see Honda Civics out there, and it's like my buddy works for Honda, and he's like, "Oh, dude, we just got these brand new Civics in," and I'm like, "Oh, nice, the ones with the cool little spoilers." He's like, "Yeah, they riced the whole thing out," and I'm like, "All right," I'm like, what's the number on these things now? He's like, "Oh, 45, 50 grand." I'm like, 50 grand
Yeah.
for a Honda Civic.
Yeah, dude. And that's just like that with anything. I remember I have a Toyota right now, a Tacoma.
I love your truck.
Thank you. I love it too. We got lucky as shit on that. We found it. Me and my girl, we were looking at different dealerships. We went to PA, and there was one fucking truck, the one that I have on the lot, because right now there's a shortage of the chips that they're using or whatever. That's what they tell us, at least. I don't know if it's accurate, but there was one on the lot. The person made it like customized to whatever specs he wanted, and then I guess he either bailed on it last minute or failed a credit check or something. So it was available on the line and then on the lot. And then when we said, "Oh, what's that one over there?" They were like, "Oh, we're gonna actually be showing that later." We're like, "Well, can we see it too? Because we're about that one." So we got lucky with that. But yeah, man, inflation sucks.
I know, right? Now I'm going to inflate this real quick. Hold on.
Yes.
Inflation, exhale. It's like, I feel like sometimes I got to go through a process like that when I think about shit like this, because it really changed the dynamic, over the last few years of like what we were doing. I mean, I remember when we used to, casually just hit Ocean City, Maryland, whether we spent a couple bucks down there. I used to always have like a budget when I went out there, but it's like,
Smart though.
oh
You
yeah,
don't have a budget and you just piss through all your money. I've seen people do stuff like that before, and you're like,
but I'm a jerk off
Not a
with
good
it though.
idea. Not a good idea.
Dude, I'm buying shots. I'm having some fun.
You have fun.
Yeah.
And I will say this, not just gassing you up or gaslighting you just because I'm on your podcast, but you had the smoothest pickup line I think I ever seen. And I don't even think you really wanted to do it. You just kind of wanted to like have fun. Like
Test
you were
the
just like,
waters.
yeah. You were like, watch this. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was those the two dark hair girls, or like the three dark hair girls. They look like little Kardashians.
I was going to say, the names I don't remember. I don't really remember what they look like, but I just remember you were like, watch this. And I was like, okay. And then you went up, and do you remember what you did?
Vaguely.
So you were like, you walked up to the girl, and you were like, oh, wow. Your hair, like, do you use, I think you asked her if you used a certain kind of conditioner. You're like, it's got a great shine to it or something.
Wait, no,
like that.
I asked her if she double processed her highlights.
Yeah, something off the wall. I was like, what the fuck is he saying?
But yo, it's so unique though.
And she,
like,
instead of like, how some girls get like defensive and like kind of like look at you like, okay, this jerk off. She kind of like smiled and was like, and then she was just like right away, like receptive, like, oh yeah, yeah. And then you were like, oh yeah, I work in the hair industry, like I'm a barber and a hairstylist. And then you started a conversation that way, and I was just like, that was so fucking smooth. I was like, I couldn't have pulled that one off. I would have just been like,
you know what?
Got a nice haircut.
Dude, you know what? Though? I do vaguely remember that moment. It was fun, but you know what? Though? I've been doing that for years, just randomly talking to anybody. To me, it's like a challenge. Sometimes it's like, and this is kind of this is kind of tie into like maybe where I wanted to go with this anyway. And it's like there was like a confidence that like I feel like you gotta have to just take a risk. It's like, yo, what if that group of girls, like, no one's trying to bang them,
Right.
but it's like they just got some type of connection. We're cool, and it's like, hey, we do this or we do so. It's like, oh shit, so do we. It's like, fuck the barber talk and this. Like you guys do this. It's like, yeah, it creates more opportunity. Whether it goes anywhere, just you've opened that. I feel like in the last few years, dude, we've ran these conversations in the shop almost, I feel, till the fucking water has run dry with all the bullshit. But, COVID fucked up a lot of people. And there was confident people I knew that lost their edge.
Yeah.
They lost everything. They couldn't grasp nothing. And
Just because of how crazy, I mean, obviously we've never lived through anything like that before, like a fucking global pandemic where shit got shut down and like all that kind of stuff. Like, aside from all that, then it kind of turned into like this like political / social thing, and then people were like, there were like mask police. Like if you didn't wear a mask, there were people that wanted to like yell at you for that. Then there
wait. Do you remember when I told you the story about going to the Sixers game?
I don't know if I do.
I remember this because this goes back into kind of why I don't really like to spend money in certain businesses unless I'm really like trying to support people.
Yeah.
But I remember it was me and my fiance. She's never been to a basketball game.
Okay.
So it was the night, I forget who was playing. It was the Warriors or something, but KD was supposed to be playing, a couple other hot shot stars. So I went and got box seats. And I was like, yo, let me fucking do this, right? You know, the food, the bar. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'll skip through this, but we get there, and right as we go up to the fucking seats into the suite area, the guy goes, hey, how you doing? Let me see the tickets, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, here you go. He's like, yeah, I just want to inform you tonight that we're not going to be serving any food and drink. And I'm like, I'm blank. I'm like, hold on. What the fuck did I just spend?
Yeah.
Fucking $750 for the fucking
did they
seats.
charge you full price, like regular?
That's what I mean. They charge full price. Dude, we walked in and I'm like, babe, I'm not going to let this ruin my night. I tweaked it out of my mind. I was pretty high. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's move forward. We walked through. It's all black. And I'm like, oh, they didn't even turn the fucking lights on in here. So then we get down to the seats. And it was cool. The seats were fucking good, you know. And here comes this fucking guy. And I've seen this guy at this arena now for over 10, 15 years working there. He's got the long hair.
The regular.
Yeah, he's been there for years. I'm eating a fucking pretzel, cuz. You know, eating a little bit. And then next thing you know, here he comes. Excuse me, sir. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to need you to put your mask on. And I'm like, I'm eating. And I was being cool, but I also looked at it as everybody else in the fucking section wasn't wearing their mask. That's the private fucking section.
Right.
So I just remember at that moment, he's just giving me a lot of shit. At the time, me and my girl weren't actually on the same page with the COVID. She was like, put your fucking mask on, stop making a scene. I'm like, no, fuck this guy.
Right.
He's a little corporate little NPC robot. Like, I'm not dealing with this fuck. I'm like, I just spent all this fucking money, and you're going to blow my fucking time. I said, Katie's not even fucking playing. Like, two fucking people ain't playing.
Damn tickets. I can't even get like service in here. Like,
I think what pissed me off though is I paid so that I could get the food and drink included.
Right. That's why you get a box seat.
Yeah. So what do you think happens? Halftime, I'm like, okay, well, I'm fucking hungry now, and I walk out of the fucking thing with her, and it's like,
and they were still serving food at other.
Oh, of course, but what are you doing over there? You're paying for it.
Right.
You know, the cold cheesesteak, the fucking crab fries have been sitting out long enough to go fucking stale. You know, they're good for like the first 30 seconds, and then you just spent $8 for 7 fries. Right. That is still kind of good.
You don't really enjoy it. You're like, ah, shit.
But I ended up spending $250, so I'm like a G in now. Yeah. And I remember getting back into the fucking game, and I got a couple beers because I was loaded. I just wanted to drink and just get it out of my head, you know. So we sit down. I got my beer. Now I'm being cool. I got the mask right here, chin level. You know what I mean? Like,
not good enough, dude.
Well, I'm drinking, and this is where I think the COVID got out of control with people, because I was drinking the beer, and the guy comes back over and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna need you to, you know, put the thing back up every time you drink."
Jesus Christ.
At first, dude, I swear to fucking God, dude, I thought it was a joke. I thought this guy was fucking with me. I'm like, and then I'm looking at him,
and he's like, "No, I'm dead serious, dude. Yeah,
yeah."
And
at that point, I'm like, I got fucked for my tickets. I got fucked for the suite. Got fucked on the food. Like, I'm over a G in. My girl is now mad at me. It's her first time at a fucking game. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this.
Totally
I'm like,
ruined.
fuck you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you know, we're going to go get security. I look over at the security guard. It's like a couple older people. I'm like, you really think that fuck's going to take me out of here? I made a mistake saying that. But this was the degree of how far they went. This guy calls fucking police over to the suite area. I'm like, all right, maybe I like kind of got out of line.
Far, yeah.
But then
realistically, you didn't. If you really think about it now, like with all the shit we know now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I get it at the time. Like people were scared, and there was just so much fucking propaganda on TV and on the internet and shit. Just like fear. Like everyone's gonna die. Like if you don't wear your mask, you're a bad human being.
But the guy pulled his fucking mask down to talk to me. To fucking talk to me.
None of the protocols made any sense. Like
no.
Like fast food places would put plexiglass up. Like what the fuck is plexiglass gonna do? Especially when there's a hole that just the air would go in to like give your money and shit. You're like, nothing makes sense. Like
no.
Nothing. There was no real science behind any of that shit. It was just all like, do what you're told because basically our government told us to do it. So do it.
Well, that got scary.
Go.
That got scary for me because I'll be honest, man. When I saw the cops actually roll up, there was like 7 or 8 of them, and I'm like, okay. And I'm now at this point, I'm thinking in my head, yo, don't do something stupid.
Right, like don't get arrested. Right?
But guess what fucking happens? And this is where I think it kind of turned for me, like in my favor. The cops come up, right? And they're all kind of standing around. I'm like, fuck you, fuck you. And I said, hey guys, maybe you're not realizing this. There's a whole fucking area of people with their cameras up here. I said, do something fucking stupid. You're going to make this whole arena pay attention to this one spot. Now a manager, hey, look, buddy, what's the problem? I said, I'm trying to fucking watch this game. Leave me the fuck alone. Oh my God, this got fucked here. Yo, everybody backed off. Then the cameras went away. And I was like, holy shit. But I was one person, like, only a couple people, like, shouted, yo, leave him the fuck alone.
Right,
but, like, you could all tell. People were like, yo, did we say something? Yeah, man, he's just sitting. And mind you, my seat was almost like, because they did it every 4 seats. And those tickets were so fucking expensive.
I remember that, where they would space the fucking seats.
I'm not even fucking around anybody.
Yeah.
But that's how extreme it got. And it's like, and now look where it fucking got us. It got people excited over fucking, what, $1,000 stimulus checks. It got scammers through the roof with these PPP loans. You know, I've never seen more credit card fraud. Like, I've seen so much shit come from this.
Credit card debt. Apparently, we're like in more credit card debt than we've ever been as a whole country and shit like that. So, like, this whole thing was just so wild. And I feel like because of it, it kind of opened my eyes up to a different way of, like, getting my information and looking into things more. Like, I've always been, like, a skeptic of, like...
I'm a skeptic.
Yeah, of just everything, but especially government stuff. Like, you know, we grew up in the George Bush era, so, like, we had, like, the 9/11 shit and the Iraq and Afghanistan war, and, like, when you really dive deep into all that, if you took the time to do it, you kind of seen there was a lot of bullshit in that, too.
Well, we love going back and forth in the shop about conspiracies. Oh, yeah. That's always a fun one.
It is, but the thing that's crazy about everything now is to get you to stop talking about everything, everything's a conspiracy theory. Yeah. In my mind, conspiracy theories are like shit you can't prove, but like you can kind of connect the dots a little bit. Like, oh, maybe there's aliens because of this. And you're like, all right, that's a conspiracy theory. You don't really know. But when you're like, no, we started a war for a bullshit reason to get into a war so like our military industrial complex can make billions of dollars. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fucking fact because you traced where the money came from and where it went and how you get there. Like, I feel like it's so misused now to discredit people from just talking in general about anything that's against what they tell you how to think. Okay, this is how we want you to think. And then if you say something different, you're a crazy far-right conspiracy theorist. It's like, what?
But I think that comes from people being naive.
Absolutely.
We talk about that a lot. Like,
but you said it with the Sixers game, how people kind of wanted to stick up for you, but they didn't.
Yeah.
It's the same concept with like a lot of that shit. Like now you're like, something's not right here. Like look at what's going on in the country now. Like regardless of what side of the aisle you fall in politics and stuff, we're involved in a war essentially, which could lead to an even bigger war. We're like funding it basically. We have record inflation. We just had a bank fucking crisis.
Yeah.
Like we have fucking kids lopping their fucking dicks off, at underage and shit at like 5 years old.
That one still gets me.
Just like, what the fuck is going on? There's so many weird things going on at once. I feel like if you just somewhat pay attention to anything outside of your bubble of life, you're kind of like, shit's kind of weird right now. Something's not completely right.
I like to be aware. We talked about this. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to be so fucking endowed to these rabbit holes of information. It's like, look, I know what's going on.
Right, which I'll admit. Sometimes I'm guilty of it because it just fascinates the shit out of me.
No, me too, but I know it's bad.
Sometimes you do get down that like whole rabbit hole thing, like just to throw one out there, you're like, okay, the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Like, okay, so wait a minute. We know there's a dude who would fucking traffic kids to an island, and all these famous people would go there and they basically blackmail them. And you're like, and this is real, by the way. Like, we have actual evidence of this and stuff. And then, like, some of the biggest names in the world, like fucking Bill Gates.
Dude, Iron Man was there. Yeah, Tony Stark was on Epstein's island. That fucking pisses me off.
But we don't ever really talk about it. We just kind of here and there. And
do we still watch Marvel movies? Like, do we still...
I mean, I'm not a huge movie guy like I used to be, but I guess people still do.
Do you still enjoy R. Kelly's music?
I mean, it's hard not to like Ignition. Come on.
Dude, the world's greatest, though.
Ignition, getting hot in the kitchen. Come on.
Dude, Fuck that. You never got your fucking adrenaline going when the world's greatest played. Like,
I
you
was
weren't going
gonna-
to
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
fly through the moon. And it's like, by the way, that guy raped mad people and pissed on people. It's
peed
like,
on-
oh, fuck.
peed on a lot of people. Peed on a lot of girls. Underage girls. But, I mean, that scene in Space Jam with Mike, I Believe I Can Fly. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man.
That's iconic.
You can't take that away.
It's hard. It's very hard.
Like, what if we found out Celine Dion was on Epstein's Island? It's like, will my heart will go on? Is that song canceled?
Classic, yeah.
You can't do that.
See, but that's the thing. They don't correlate those things. They cancel dumb shit. Like, like, I don't know, who got canceled recently? Like,
They tried canceling Chappelle. They couldn't do it.
well, that's the key, is you got to just kind of tell them, you can't cancel me because I don't care. But a lot of people do fall, victim to it. And
But that's
like,
that goes back to what you're saying. You follow the money, and I guess this is back to where it goes to like the whole naive thing. The people I've talked to about COVID, I'm telling them my perspective from someone who has to consistently move, manipulate, and adjust his money.
Right.
I'm not getting a 9-to-5 salary where I get X amount of dollars a week and then I got to adjust that and then play with that. It's like, no, I'm moving this here. This goes here. This is for this to go for 6 months down the road, and we're playing around. And then you got to look at it as, well, hold on, I need this to happen. It's almost like, for me, entrepreneurship is like a giant fucking parlay, and I feel like life's a parlay. And it's like, well, what are you going to play? You're going to play the straight up bet, but then lay it on the line, or you're going to play little small bets. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
For me, it's like when COVID came out, I really started trying to explain to people, it's like, listen, I'm not here to burst your bubble. But shut the fuck up with all your crazy ways you're thinking of this. It's like, look, if you don't understand money, you don't understand what's going on. If you don't have any bit of control or understanding of even something so small, sometimes, because you ever think, and I may upset a few people when I say this, but some people don't got their own household in check, their household money in check. How the fuck you think you're going to have an understanding of a multi-billion-dollar business, cuz?
Another thing, too, that really kind of opened my eyes a lot to during the COVID period and everything is money really does run everything, and it controls everything. Whether you want to believe that or not, it is. Like,
Yeah.
who got hurt the most during COVID? The little people, the mom and pop business.
I'm going to shoot the middle class. I'm going to say the middle class was, and I don't even like saying middle class. I'm a pure people person.
Yeah.
I'll hang in a room with a millionaire and sit there and go, this cat don't know shit. He just got a couple dollars. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't have the wisdom behind the money.
Right.
He may have the usage experience, but no wisdom behind it, But yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And people don't want to look at it that way. And then that's where they like take you and they look at you when you question things, and you're like use the COVID stuff with like the big pharmacy industry, like the big pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, we'll run that for oof.
Yeah,
oof.
we'll get into that, but it's like they pushed a narrative, right, that was going to essentially cause them to make money.
Yeah.
And they didn't just make money, they made record profits.
Yeah.
Of ever. The most money they've ever made in a year. And you're like, well, that's kind of weird. And then when you find out shit like certain people like were in power that used to work in pharmaceutical, and you're like, once you start seeing that kind of stuff, you're like, whoa, holy shit. Like, this is next level, like, chess. Like,
oh, yeah.
These rich fucks are rich for a reason because they manipulate and control, the information sources and the media and
the simple mind.
all that kind of stuff. And then it changes people's perspectives. Like, so many people I know, or you see it on Instagram or stuff, like the shit that they worry about. Like we were talking about in the shop today, like the left-right, argument with politics, like the paradigm shift. And you can get caught into that easily because you might take a stance on something, or you might have a candidate that you like. First and foremost, all politicians are assholes. They're all bought and paid for. So no matter what side you like or who it is and who you think
they're all bought.
They're all bought. They all have donors and stuff that they have to eventually please, and they get the money from them, and then they got to kind of give it back.
Dude, even people that were like high on the hog for Trump, which don't get me wrong, he had some shit that was great, other shit that was bad. But the irony is like everybody was like, yeah, nobody bought Trump. Trump, nobody paid Trump. It's like Trump paid himself.
But Trump took more money than anyone. Like in terms, he said he wasn't going to do that, but he took over like $100 million in fucking donations.
Yeah, come
That's a
on.
lot.
But come on.
But of course he did. I'm not even like that isn't my hill to die on for like shit.
Of course.
Shit that I would criticize Trump about, like the stuff that the media and that like your common folk talks about Trump. That's all dumb shit. Like I don't think he's a racist. I don't think he's this and that and all this mindless dumb shit that's going to get people to argue with. But there are things that he did that I didn't like. And then, you can do that with every politician. There's a lot of things that they push or they say they're going to do and then they don't do and then they do something else. And you see that kind of stuff. But people don't ever want to it's like a sports thing now. They're like, okay, I'm red and you're blue, so we got to argue nonstop about it. Like,
stay divided, man.
You're like, nah, I don't really want to do that. And that's how they got us too. Like, they kind of made it taboo as we grew up. Like, you kind of probably heard the expression, like, you never talk politics in public.
Yeah.
But why?
I'll be honest though, even in the barbershop, there's like, there's always golden rules.
Yeah. Because you don't want to offend somebody or hurt somebody's feelings. But why? If you have say I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat and you have a viewpoint that maybe I don't know, or, maybe you have some information that I don't know.
I think it's built in because, and I'm not going to talk religion.
Right.
But I'm going to say, I have a Jewish last name. I went to CCD. Dude, when I made my confirmation and they said, Jay Goldberg, dude, half the fucking people in there were like, is he a Jew? I made his confirmation. But the irony was, I may have that as a background, but I was raised in that direction.
Right.
And it's like, I think some of these things, Republican, Democrat, that people get a status to start off with. And it's kind of like, yo, you're your own individual. You can break the status. And I think once I started kind of looking at like, I like this view. I like this view. I had people during COVID going, oh, well, yeah, but you're kind of like, you're on the left and you're on the right. And I'm like, I can't classify myself as either or. I couldn't even go liberal. I love ideas all over the board.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like the normal average person, unless you have a real reason, like maybe you are invested in some kind of companies that they push. Like I know I don't know how it is now, but I know back in the day it seemed like Republicans pushed military industrial complex shit. Now I don't know. I feel like Democrats do that now, but whatever. But like now it's just so weird. You should have ideas of your own where you're like, okay, I agree with this and I agree with that. And that doesn't necessarily classify me as anything, but like you can't even talk like that now. Now, if you even say like, "Oh yeah, did you see like what Trump or Ron DeSantis said?" and then somebody will look at you and be like, "That crazy asshole," and then you're like, "Well, geez, you don't even know what I was going to talk about." Like maybe it was something good. Yeah,
quick to jump, like right, automatically assume where you're going.
Right, and same thing with the other way. I mean, even though it tends to seem to be more true, but when someone says something about Biden, you're kind of like, ugh. I'm not really a huge fan of that guy, but
time took over that.
Yeah,
time gave us that.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, I knew he was a piece of shit while he ran because all you have to do was just a quick Google search. His whole career in politics, he was an asshole.
Yeah,
he got like his whole time. It was just like, well, this isn't really I mean, I know so many people wanted to dethrone Trump, and it's like this was the guy you wanted though.
But that's where I think this country's fucked up because if you really bust it down. We're at this stage in life where I go back to the naive thing. I was probably awakened, and it's going to sound crazy, the day I sold my first dime bag of weed. You know why? Because I looked at it, and it's kind of like, if no one's going to provide me with an income, and I had just gotten locked up at the time. I'd made like a mistake when I was like 18. I got caught doing some shit I wasn't supposed to be doing. But, through that whole experience, I still had to make money. And I kind of went back to it just in a different way, just a little bit smarter. But then I started really looking at how money moves people. And then, you and me go back and forth with George Peterson. I love listening to that guy. And he had a lecture years ago where he was talking about the lifestyle between making 50 grand and making 85 grand. It's like you're really not changing that much other than what you have. Okay, now instead of a $300 car payment, I got to have a $500 car payment. Right. Instead of a $3,000 mortgage, I got to have a $3,500 mortgage. You know what I mean? But now we're going back to the inflation thing where it's like, dude, I saw actually the rancher that's down the street from my house, right? It's I forget what it is, but dude, that fucking thing's going up for like $300,000. You know what the house was originally marked at before COVID? 140 grand.
Probably half of that, yeah. And now I just saw.
I'm mystified.
I believe. I mean, I'm not positive because I was working and I was at the shop today too. But I think I saw that they're raising the interest rates again for housing. So it's like that's fun.
They are. They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So it's like that's not cool.
But you know what though? I mean, you know me. I love playing with money and doing things. There was a couple ways to put yourself ahead in this time, but I feel like going back to the global psychology of like how people are getting us to move in a certain way. Buddy of mine goes, "Yo, I'm gonna sell my house," and I was like, "Cool." He's like, "I'm gonna make like 200 grand on it," and I was like, "Well, you got a family too, so it's like now you have to shift that. You have to shift that."
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm gonna do this," and he's like, "So my mortgage payment's gonna be the same, but I got more. But now I gotta maintain this." And I'm like, "You sure you want to do that?" He's like, "Yeah." Next thing I come to find out, he doesn't do it because his job is like, "Yo, we gotta cut your hours." Now that big money he was making during COVID, yo, that shrunk. That really fucking shrunk him. And now I'm starting to see that bubble close for a lot of people. Like, hey, that money's running out. People ain't buying shit. They're fucked up.
Now things cost more money on top of that.
Dude, I'm at least an extra $100 every. I don't know. I'm an extra $100 at the grocery store now.
Easy, easy. Yeah. Now it's just like everything is like 50 cents, $1, $2 more than it was, and that adds up. You don't think about it at the time. You're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Have you eaten out
Couple
recently?
more bucks. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you order? I mean, I order wings. I like wings. Have you ordered wings recently?
Not like just from like a pizza stop. Like
Yeah,
you
just
have it delivered.
ordered some
Yeah.
wings.
Yeah, actually, yeah. When the World Series and shit was going on, and like the playoffs for football. And
Did
stuff,
you
Yeah.
did you look at how much your wings cost, or did you just pay the bill and keep it moving?
I do remember I had my fiance's dad was over and a couple other people were over and we ordered wings and I think we got like 30 wings and I think it came wings and then maybe like a pizza. It came to like $80 I was like,
Yeah, what, dude?
For
That was a
pizza and
$30 meal.
Yeah.
3 years ago, we're at $80.
yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
But people's pay didn't go up by that much.
No, that's what people don't really understand is like the companies aren't going to pay you more just because shit costs more. You got to earn more, you know what I mean? And then even when you do earn more, shit still costs more. So you're like, you got a raise, but like not a full raise. So maybe you get a 20% raise, but everything costs 15% more. So you really didn't get that 20%.
So this is where we go back to what we always talk about, the iceberg theory.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's looking at the top of the iceberg, and it's like, yo, what sank the Titanic was underneath.
Yeah.
Speaking of conspiracies, Titanic, I could fucking.
Great conspiracy. That's a good conspiracy.
I think that actually, I'm going to sidetrack this. I definitely think that is the one fucking conspiracy that people are like, oh my God, the Titanic, they made a movie. It's like, they put it right in your fucking face. It's like, that was the whole directional change for banking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, I'm not going to fucking sit here and explain it now, but you go and look at all these different people that kind of bailed off the boat, the people that had stayed, the banking system happened to turn over the following year with all this new rollout. And then that's how we've been operating since that time. It's like, hold on, some shit definitely fucking happened.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
But do you see what you said before you explained all that? You looked into some things and you read.
I did.
You read. A lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to hear, here's my phone. Okay, this headline says fuck Trump. So fuck Trump. I got to say fuck Trump. They don't even want to look into it. They're just like, fuck him. Fuck him. And you're like, for what though?
But it's good. It's like instant clickbait.
Yeah. But did you ever see like the people on the street when they're like Biden or Trump? And then the guy will be like, oh, Biden, fuck Trump. And they're like, why don't you like Trump? And you're like, he's racist. And you're like, okay, what did you say that was racist? And then they're like, fuck him, dude. Come on. And then you're like, that's not a real reason. Like, what the fuck? Why don't you like this guy? And that's like that, in my opinion, with everything. And nobody wants to look into shit. They just want to read a headline, like you said, click something.
Yeah.
Oh, this made me feel good, so I'm going to do that. Like, look at this shit now with like, you're not allowed to call people fat anymore. They have to like, they're putting fat people in fitness things now, and they're like body positive.
Dude, I feel you on that 100%. Like, you really can't call anybody, I don't even want to say fat, but like, you can't call anybody really anything. And I'm not going into the whole direction of he, she, they, them. I'm not trying to piss nobody off. Like,
That's a whole different can of worms.
But you know what I do like to do now in the times that we're in today? I know we talked about being in a bubble, but you know what? I like my bubble. I'm aware of what's going on outside of the other bubbles, but you know what? I'm caring about what's in mine, and if
and I totally get the bubble. Like it's a comfort thing, but like to go back to what we were talking about with like, like the fat stuff, it's like no you know, if you're comfortable being overweight and obese, like, cool. If you're comfortable with that and you feel sexy and all that kind of stuff, like, hey, by all means, but don't insult my intelligence. Turn around and say it's healthy. It's
Yeah.
not. You're gonna fucking you're gonna have problems. Like, you're overweight, you're obese. Like, that's not health.
They're even sexualizing.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I've been out plenty of times and I've seen a chick that she's a little on the plus side, but I'm like, damn, she's hot.
Well, they made it. What do they call it? Like thick now, right? Like slim, thick, and thick, and all this. All these
I feel like
different
slim
terminology.
thick's like, if I could like put a visual to that, it's like a nice Spanish girl, like
Yeah,
slim,
like
thick.
curvy. Yeah, curvy, but not like ripped, but like
Yeah.
thick in certain areas.
Dude, when I was in
For sure.
Colombia, that's what I saw. Slim, thick, everywhere.
What was Colombia like?
Colombia was something that, you know, when you have like life changing moments,
Yeah.
like where some shit just happens to you, and you're like, what? Like, holy shit!
That was one of them for you.
Colombia was that for me because I like to call Colombia the Devil's Den.
Okay.
I like to call it the Devil's Den because if you want to go out to the countryside and see the ocean, you could do that. You want to go to a specific street on Columbia and go shop for women, well, you could do that too. If you want to go and pick up cocaine, you could do that. Or you could try their designer drug Tusi. I mean, Colombia is such a fucking crazy place that it's like, and you know, maybe I could even say it could be like that anywhere. If you're looking for that experience, like it's somewhere, like even in Amsterdam, like we went nuts in Amsterdam, but like, you know, there's things that just, we were like, no, we're not into that. Like, that's just not my twist.
Was it like a culture shock kind of deal? Like where it was just so different from what you're used to seeing here?
Of
Or
course.
Was it just, yeah.
And this is where you know what? This is where I could say I had my life altering moment in that perspective. When I got down there to Colombia, it's kind of like the dollar conversion's crazy. So if you have American money, you're like, I would say you need maybe half to a third of what you make here to live out there really comfortably.
Yeah.
Dude, we went to a restaurant. I got steak and lobster mag. I was being bougie as shit. I'm also looking at the menu and I'm like, for the amount of money you could go to Applebee's here, you're eating fine dining in a fucking restaurant with the skylit open, palm trees growing in your fucking restaurant from the ground.
Eating like a king, yeah.
I can't explain this to you. Like you got to see pictures. You got to be there. But you know, the comparison between, you know, United States and Colombia, it's like I'm not real deep in understanding how that country works. But one thing I can tell you is out there, there's not a lot of competition with money unless you already got money. Like if you're at the bottom tier, something extraordinary needs to happen for you to get ahead. And, you know, it's like I hear a lot of people talk about how much they fucking hate America. And I'm like, you do realize America is the land of opportunity. And a lot of people say, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, it's this, it's that. It's like, well, at least you can. Out there, you want to be a photographer, you want to be a barber. It's like,
Good luck.
well, no, you could do it, but you're not making a lot of money.
Right.
So you're trying to find ways. Like I remember we were driving down one of the streets in Cartagena, and there was this lady in our view in the fucking bus. And I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? And the guy was like, oh, man, she's probably selling gum. And I'm like, what? Yeah, like gum, like chiclets.
Chewing gum, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we pass her. And then there's another person standing in that fucking street. And they're selling single packs of diapers. And I'm like, if he did sell those 5 packs of diapers, how much would he really make to feel like that was worth his time to do?
I guess enough, right?
Yeah.
Doing, yeah.
But,
Enough to at least help out.
yeah, but like out there, it's like,
No, people definitely don't understand. Like, as I got older, I kind of felt like I turned into like a dad with like, not like to sound like corny, generic, like patriotism, but it's like I appreciate where we live and where we come from, and like
Yes.
some of the values that we have in our country, and like the opportunity, like you said, like you could, if I just want to stop doing what I'm doing for a living now and just pick up a new trade, I can do that.
if you really want to, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It might be difficult and you might have a little period of time where you struggle, but you could do that. You can't do that in every country. You know, like
No, you definitely can't.
You're kind of
man.
just like pigeonholed into doing what they're telling you to do, and you're not going to make a comfortable living, and you're going to just kind of essentially be like a slave in a way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think I've been international now 4 or 5 times. Each area looked different, But I'll be honest, it was the same lifestyle. And I'll break it to you to where it's like in the Dominican Republic when we were out there, we were in the shits, man. We weren't at resorts or anything. Like we were actually out in the towns. And I was like, they're living the same way the people in Colombia were living, but just it looks different. It's the same tier of thought. It's like, okay, we're not paid, but we're living good.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
They make the best out of it, what they can.
yeah, I got a quick story for you, dude. When I tell you this shit broke my fucking heart, dude. This changed my perception on greed. Like just pure greed at this point. Yo, Chase, like this is a big one. And Ty, check this shit out, dude. You know, I got to bring the room in on this one. So I'm in a Dominican Republic. I'm with my boy Kevin Bacon. That's his name.
The actual actor Kevin Bacon or a friend?
That would be cool, but nah, definitely. This guy's more like 6'4", black, like 350.
Okay, so not exactly Kevin Bacon that we're
No, but he had a really interesting way of looking at life. And he lives down there, so he villa hops. Like he makes enough to where, you know, with American money to where he can villa hop and all this shit. So the time when I went down to go see him a couple years ago, a couple buddies invited me on a trip. I had actually never met him at this point. They were just like, dude, you're going to vibe with this cat. And I'm like, all right, cool. Get down there. We're driving through the shits, dude. I'm seeing aluminum roofs. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, this cab driver, yo, he's about to fuck us up. He's about to take our money. Like, so, and then next thing you know, we pull down this dirt road. I'm looking at my boy Joe and I'm like, Joe, this is it. I love you, man. Like, this was it. And he's like,
we had a good run, man.
And he was like, Jay, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. I'm like, dude, where the fuck are we, man? I'm skitsing balls, dude, because I ate a tab of acid, like, right as I got off the airport. So
you didn't throw that detail in there.
Okay, so I do that when I travel, so it kind of like puts me in like a, like I don't get fucking blasted, but I do like a little microdose off the plane, so it's like I'm really I start to get like a little submerged where I'm at, but point being, I got a little buzz going, I'm tripping a little bit, and we pull down this dirt road, and I don't see anything. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I'm fucking having a full-blown panic attack. Next thing I know, we pull up, and there's just fucking giant stone, like a giant stone gate, like in Scarface.
Okay.
The best way to explain it. And it's this fucking beautiful villa on the wall. I'm like, oh my God, this is where this guy fucking lives. There's like fucking HUD homes right here. Now, this is where it's like, you know, I'm walking into some, you know, beautiful, Instagram friendly picture place, and it looks beautiful and it's fucking awesome. And then we're there, we're hanging out. Second day we wake up, they all go into town to go get stuff for food because everything was fucking, it was a whole other story. But everybody gets back and we're chilling. I tried some of the Coke down there. It was pretty good. So we're a little zoomied. And next thing I know, Kev's like, yo, guys, real quick, the kids are here. So look, just, you know, you guys can stay here, but I need you to be mindful. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking. I'm zooted. I'm like, yeah, sure, dude, whatever you want. So then these kids that were living on the street, like in the hut homes with all the aluminum roof, like the mud homes, I'm like, fuck. So they come in and I'm going to say this is where my greed, my gluttony, like I got gut checked so hard at this moment. So, you know, we were like, oh, dude, let's order mad pizzas for these fucking kids. Like, I guess you got to like see where they were living to be like, they don't have anybody giving them pizza. Right. And it's so cheap. It's like, yo, let's just fucking load up, man. We're all having a good time anyway. So we get like 8 or 9 pizzas delivered. My fucking ignorant ass was like, yo, I hope these motherfuckers don't eat all the pizza. I'm like, yo, fuck this shit, man. Yo, they started coming up one by one to get pizza. Now, mind you, they're playing in the pool, the basketball court. This villa was pretty fucking sick. Yeah. And the kids are taking the pizza one by one, and I'm not really paying attention. I'm just kind of doing my thing. And I go over to get a slice of pizza, and I go to like the second box of pizza. Second box of pizza. Only one box was gone. Dude, there was a whole table of like pieces of pizza only like half eaten. And I'm like, the fuck is this? And then my boy Kev was like, yo, come here. And I was like, you know me, I'm all coked up. I'm like, what? What the fuck is it? And he was like, yo, they can't physically fit that kind of food in their stomach. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. Yeah. My brain's thinking, yo, these kids are probably hungry as fuck. They're going to bury this pizza. I'm thinking like an American.
Right.
I'm thinking like such an American, dude.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, dude, It might have been the coke and the alcohol, dude. I took a walk, dude. I started crying. I'm like, oh my God, dude. What the fuck is wrong with me? I'm a piece of shit. I was going through such a coke fucking withdrawal, dude.
Yeah, like
oh my God.
That's fucked up.
But it changed me. And that's where it's like, I knew I was American.
Right? Yeah.
I'm American, dude. I fucking eat too much. I want excess of everything. And it's like, I've been to these countries and they're like, the fuck you need all that for?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah,
why not?
Yeah, our lifestyle is just like so different than theirs. It's just like, you guys are wild. But they don't have fat people like morbidly obese like that. Like
no
droves. You just go to like the city and you're like, okay, Jesus.
Well, the thing I've realized in international countries that I've been to, maybe not all of them, the fat guy or the overweight person, he's doing good.
Yeah,
because he can afford to eat.
That's what it used to be like way back in the day. Like kings and shit were like fat because they had all the stuff, but everybody else was skinny because they didn't have any money. You know what I mean?
I know, dude.
Makes sense.
But hey, look, what a fucking rap session, dude. I know we can only cover so much in an hour, but dude, I definitely got to have you back on.
Anytime.
I feel like this is a perfect time though to do a send off, and I've had this prepared.
You have to do your classic. I'm gonna watch, and then I'm gonna ask you an important question while you do your send off. So
as long as you join me in the send off.
You need me to join you in that?
I mean, periodically, back and forth. I mean, I can't share that with you physically at the same time, but sure. For the viewers, this is my main choice. It just works. I love the fucking ash catcher. It doesn't make the bog get too dirty.
It accents the water in such a way.
Yeah, it's such a.
I need to know.
Hold on.
I need to know how you do this. And cut at the same time.
What do you mean? Run that back.
How do you get... Okay, so as a normal person that doesn't really smoke like consistently, if I get high, I'm kind of out of commission. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, you can smoke way more than like what would do that to me, and do a precision sharp taper fade and clean up somebody's beard with a straight razor. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? That's impressive.
It's an interesting question with probably a more interesting answer. So I got 8 compressed discs in my spine, from the injuries I've had as a kid. And when I wake up, I'm instantly in pain. So the first thing I do when I wake up is I hit my bong or I'll roll a joint, because for me, I never really enjoyed the idea of prescription pills. I've watched what they've done. I've tried them. I've definitely tried them. But for me,
I grew up in Washington Township. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that did that.
But that's what I mean, though, dude. Like for me, I watch what those drugs did, and with all the injuries I've had, all the callus development and the arthritis I have, like at such a young age, dude, it's like when I smoke, I'm not really high. I'm actually just like I'm at a comfortable state where like my back doesn't hurt. Like I can think without the pain.
I guess I never thought of it in that perspective, where you have a lot of like lingering injuries and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And for me, it's like, I see what you're saying, because there's going to be guys in the shop that come in like, yo, dude, let's smoke a joint. I'm like, you sure you want to smoke with me?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. Then next thing you know, they're greening out my chair like, fuck, dude, I'm too high. I'm like, dude, I'm going to keep smoking.
Yeah.
I'm like, you sure you wanted to do that?
Yeah.
But that's why I smoke. Like I'm real against the prescription world. And I always said to myself, I was never going to medicate with alcohol. I see what that does, like long term.
Smart.
Very smart. I'm not taking pills because in the short term you could get fucked up. Fuck the long term if you can make it out.
Right.
In that sense, like I never wanted to start doing Percocets, and then next thing you know, 10 years later, it's like, if I started with perks, continuously chasing the high, where am I going to be? Am I going to be on a bigger perk dose? Am I going to be shooting dope? Am I going to say, fuck the doctors now, I just need to be high? It's like, bro, I never, ever had a problem with weed. Yeah. I never got tired. I never got lazy. I can't say that for other people. For me, the pain that I have from all those injuries doesn't really get me high. That's why I gotta smoke a shit ton.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody takes one rip at his bong, you're like, fuck, dude, what'd you give me? And I'm like, my usual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The J special.
But it does help me focus though when I'm cutting. And I will say one of the greater benefits is it really relaxes me. So when my back's not all stiff and, you know, all rocked out, it's like I get comfortable, I relax, and then I can actually find ways to like enjoy conversation. Because, dude, there's times when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to talk to my girl. I don't want to do nothing. Like I'm literally like stretching, and I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
And I wake up every morning like that. So, you know, to the contrary of like what people would understand about people that smoke weed, it's like I'm not a pothead that just wants to get high, man. Like it's like, nah, man, that fucking shit helps me out.
Yeah.
Helps me live somewhat of like a normal life. And guess what? Without weed, I do struggle to cut hair. I struggle to speak. Like I struggle to do a lot of things because my back pulsates at such a crazy level. So that
I'll tell you what, it's highly impressive to be able to do that because if I was in your shoes, everybody'd be getting a shaved head, and that's it. I'd be like, sorry guys, one cut only, and that's all I got. But you can do it all.
yeah, well, you know, we're gonna finish this. We're gonna send off. But guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. You know, I'm Jay Hollywood. This is my man Spanos, and we'll see you on the next one.